Man of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Aaron Cairo.
I'm Matt Ritter.
Make sure to go to manoftheyearpodcast.com to grab our merch and watch these episodes on YouTube. This is my first episode in 2 years where I'm clean shaven, if you guys want to see what that looks like.
I was thinking to myself, something looks different about this guy, but I can't figure out what it is.
It's interesting that men have that ability. I went to an event last night, Matt. What you just said, 7 people said it to me. Are you did something different? Did you lose weight? I'm like, I literally just shaved.
Yeah, something looked. Yeah. So you shaved? What was there before?
Like 3 weeks of beard. I don't know.
For years?
Oh, since we've recorded the podcast, this is the cleanest
This
shaven.
is the first time I've seen your face, and I didn't even notice.
Yeah, you didn't even know. That's fine. That's fine. And we've been talking for half an hour. Speaking of noticing, want to talk about a very controversial topic. Penguins.
Are penguins known to be controversial these days?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I was just trying to misdirect you. Specifically, I don't know if it's pronounced Gentoo or Gentoo, but it is a species of penguins. And the male penguins present the female penguins with little pebbles. And then the female penguins use the pebbles to use their nest. And I bring up penguins because the concept of pebbling has been in the news lately. And basically pebbling on a human relationship scale means sending little tweets and memes and videos, could be little treats or little gifts, but small little gestures to a friend or a family member. And pebbling basically has two positive benefits theoretically. One, you're showing affection, and two, it shows that you know the person well enough. If I send you a meme that you really like, that means that I know you.
You've pebbled me.
Say again?
You've pebbled me.
We'll get into you pebbling me in a second.
Yeah.
But this really took off because Adam Grant, who's a Wharton professor who we want to get on the pod, tweeted about it. Matt's wearing his Penn shirt, that pebbling isn't a trivial thing. Penguin is actually like a very important relationship tool. And so I want to talk to you about pebbling.
So is he saying it's important for humans or just the penguins? He's
saying no. Well, it is important for the penguins, but he says pebbling is an act of care. Every pebble is a bid for connection.
So it's only that type of penguin, or all the penguins do the pebbling? I'm just curious.
According to my extensive research, it was just this one brand of penguin.
I got to go watch some penguin videos just to make myself feel good. What makes you feel better than watching penguin videos?
Are you like a, what's the word, like National Geographic kind of guy?
In the deep parts of the Arctic.
Is that
the gazelle? That was my horrible David Attenborough. Come on, that was horrible.
Yeah,
that was so bad.
Yeah.
Of course, I watched if it says frozen planet or anything planet or Earth or world, and it's a 6-part series. Oh man, I'm in.
Yeah, I had a moment where I was more in the pandemic watching all that stuff. Then I got a little bored, but they're great.
Bored of the Earth, of the world around us.
Our buddy best friend Mike has a tool like about how good a show is. He calls it TTP, time to phone, time for you watching the show and then you start texting.
So you're saying the Animal Planet has a quick TTP ratio.
If the gazelle isn't eating a penguin within the cold open of the show, I'm like, come on.
You know, when you go on safari, most of it is just waiting around. And everybody thinks like, oh, you're gonna catch a murder, you know?
Yeah.
You're lucky if you catch a body.
And is it mostly waiting around for you to get out of the bathroom?
Well, we know that, but we won't get into that on this episode.
Okay.
Yeah, we know there was an incident where I ruined somebody's safari, but we'll get into that on some other episodes, some future episodes.
So what do you think about pebbling?
I think it's great. I'm pretty sure I do it, I guess. I haven't, this is a new term for me. You sent it to me yesterday, and I was like, oh, I guess I do that. Now, can we just decide or classify what qualifies?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So this could be, memes and videos and stuff, which a lot of friends send to each other. It could be like as simple as like a morning text that you send
Okay.
every day to your to your romantic partner. It could be anybody. It could be like, I'm thinking about Ted Lasso. Didn't he bring like cookies or biscuits to
Yeah.
his boss every day?
Well, I was going to ask about that. So where does the distinction between a pebble and a gift?
I think it's the size, not size, physical size, but the money, and you're not buying a
Right.
diamond ring every day.
So let me ask you this. My
Yeah.
my neighborhood crew, we kind of have like we pebble each other, I guess. Is this a pebble? Sometimes like you'll meet up with a buddy for coffee or just run into him and they'll buy you a coffee or buy you a snack at the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
Is that pebbling?
No.
Why not?
Because pebbling is a little bit more thoughtful, and I know buying someone a coffee is thoughtful, but it's not personalized to you.
I mean, you
That's
can
just a
get
gesture.
me to my exact specs. Americano black.
Yeah. Also, it's not on a regular basis.
Right. So, so what regularity do we need to have for something to be considered pebbling? That's the question.
Well, I think the regularity of it all is fungible. It's just something that,
Right.
like, tells some. I mean, someone buying you a coffee is not really like
Yeah,
I'm
but what
thinking,
if somebody sends you like a Levain cookie in the mail, like just on a random day?
and that's a gift.
Why? Why is that not a pebble? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because pebbling is a recurring. For you're really getting hung up on the wrong thing here, Matt.
What am I getting hung up on? I'm just
Pebbling is
trying
like
to.
an ongoing, continuous little
Okay.
things.
So, so how many people do you, I don't know that I thought I was a pebbler, but now I'm like, am I?
Well, it's tough because you send me about 50 memes a day, but they're mostly for the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
On a
LinkedIn's,
million.
LinkedIn's. I sent on every platform to this guy.
Oh man, when I'm like looking at the corner of my eye and I have a notification from LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, maybe like someone wants to hire me or someone liked one of my posts. No, it's Matt.
Somebody wants to hire me for what? For what? But I'm not gonna lie, I occasionally do that too. I think a lot of us who are not in the workforce, like
Yeah.
occasionally I'll just like glance at LinkedIn and like jobs, and then I type over, like I go to the highest amount just to see what's there for like over 500K.
Oh wow, you actually go deep in there. You
I
pebble
go
LinkedIn.
deep. Yeah. And then immediately I just slam my laptop shut. I'm like,
But
there's nothing for me there. There's nothing for me in there.
you ever hear that, like, IBM, sometimes you see like his hired screenwriters to help them with their, whatever. I'm like, who are they hiring? Where are they finding these people? Is it a lie?
They're finding canceled and disgraced screenwriters.
Mm-hmm. Disgraced.
And yeah, and they're paying him a one-time $200 consulting fee.
LinkedIn is cool. We don't want to get into LinkedIn, but it's crazy. Like, it's a whole other world that
The emails that people send on LinkedIn are insane. Like, emails are like, "Hey, I'm at your house. Can I come in?" It's almost like, like Avon salesman.
Do you
The
get
aggression.
do you get emails off IMDb?
No.
Really?
Now you just made me feel horrible
No,
about
it's not.
myself.
It's nothing to be jealous. So for our listeners at home, IMDb that you guys see, and there's also IMDb Pro, which we pay for. It's not super accurate. It's kind of a crowdsourced thing. So like, there's projects me and Matt have worked on or sold years ago, and it says active or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'll get emails like, I'm a production house in Glendale, and I would like to work on your project, Germany. And I'm like,
That's hilarious. Oh,
yeah.
because you have your direct contact info. I think I just have my reps.
I think you actually, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
So
But
no,
anyway,
pebbling
pebbling,
is
little.
is Jeremy and I's daily chatter a pebble? What is that?
Matt, sometimes I worry that your brain is broken. You really hung up on the definition of pebbling. The easiest thing literally penguins do it. And you're like, well,
Right.
what, is it coffee? No, it's not
No,
a
but
coffee.
I'm saying, because you just keep saying it's texts and memes. I'm asking if there are any physical measures of this thing.
And I said it could be it's text memes. It could be like a little treat or small gift, but it's not a big thing. And it's
Levain cookie didn't qualify according to you.
Sweet baby Jesus. Not a one-time only thing. If every day when
Once
you
a
see,
week.
should we just end this episode? I can't right now. This is like, I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out what I can do to start pebbling. That's why I'm asking.
Basically, it's good. It's mostly digital.
Mm.
Mostly digital, unless you're like,
it's just text.
It's just text, memes. But the thing is, it's got to be, meaningful. Like I mean, I'm sure you've gotten sent and you have sent like a meme or something where it just hits. It just hits different because it's like really gets you.
Yep. Is my mom sending me all the dangers of my child and like stuff? Is that pebbling?
I'm not even engaging with you anymore. Remember in Ruminations I wrote, this was probably in the early 2000s, that my mom, I think in college, like she clipped out an article from like, I don't know, the Newsday about the dangers of drinking, and she mailed it to me in college. Remember that? The New York Times just did a whole piece about how alcohol is basically like, it's not like there's no amount of it that's good for you. The whole red wine once a day bullshit. Like it's bad.
Can we get into that?
Yeah.
I mean, so the wine part, right? Like wine, the French 1 glass of wine a day thing, are they saying that's BS too?
Yeah.
There's no amount of alcohol that is positive.
That is pretty much correct. I mean, like, I don't know if they're taking into account how fun it is.
Yeah, right. Isn't that part of your health? Your overall health is, give me 100 people, 50 of them never drink, 50 of them drink occasionally. Those 50 are going to have a better life.
Yeah, I mean, you probably 10 of them will end up dead, but you know.
Yeah, 10 are dead.
Yeah.
You have some liver issues.
No amount of alcohol improves health. 1 or 2 drinks a day associated with shrinkage of the brain, which I think explains your pebbling conversation.
Right. Yes, that would do a lot for why I can't get my head around the pebbles, because my brain's turning to little pebbles, tiny little pebbles. All right. So the drinking thing, look, I've always believed that, yes, that entire trying to spin positive benefits to alcohol was clearly a marketing play.
Well, because red wine does have like anti-inflammatories.
That's why I was asking, like, is there any, because when I drink vodka, I've never been like, oh yeah, this is going to loosen up the joints.
Basically it's been debunked. And
what about this one? This one, I believe still, when you feel like you have a cold coming on, don't you feel like you can murder it with vodka or tequila?
I thought you were going to say airborne, because I know you like airborne.
I love any placebo effect generally.
Yeah, which I think we've discussed, that placebos work, even if you know it's a placebo.
And by the way, it's not airborne. I love emergency.
But are they competing?
Emergency.
Anyway, so no, those things that our moms do for us are not pebbling. Pebbling is sending memes. I mean, I don't know how many times do I have to say the same thing. Memes.
I get it. I'm just trying to figure out what do we do?
Yeah. Well, I thought I was trying to guess what you're going to think. I thought you may come down on the side of triviality. Is that a word?
Yes.
Which is like, okay, you're sending your buddy memes all day. That's not a relationship. That's not a friendship. Now, obviously, I think you would argue it's a compliment with an E. Compliments the friendship. Another article that was like sort of linked to this, which you and I discussed, I think you sent it to me. This was the beginning of the pod. The text, that little text, say, hey, how are you? You're afraid to send it because you're like, I haven't talked to them in a second, whatever. And people love it. Studies have shown they loved it. It's adjacent to that.
Yeah. And I posted the other day, and a lot of people actually texted me afterwards, which I appreciated. I said, if you're going to send the meme, just say these 5 words in your text before it. I thought you'd appreciate this.
So you're kind of, I think, being a super pebbler.
Yeah. Yes.
Or you're optimizing your pebble by most people just send it without any commentary. You're like, I'm thinking of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think the difference is, if you just send the meme or you just send the whatever, people don't necessarily know that they know it's directed towards them, but they don't know if it's just directed towards them, or if you are sending that to everybody, or like, sometimes I get a lot, I'm sure we get a lot, which I really appreciate, of people sending us friendship articles. I believe we get pebbled.
I mean, I get when the Times runs a friendship piece, I get it 10 times.
Oh yeah, it's great. But what do you respond? Do you let people know that you've gotten it before? I say it in a like a funny way. I'm like, I'm going to be honest. I think you said this the other day. I'm going to be honest. This isn't the first. I said, I'm going to be honest. This isn't the first or fifth time I've received this, but this was the only time it said my favorite podcaster in the text.
What do you, that's something I should be meaning to ask you. Flip it, the outgoing. When you see an article and you're like, oh, this, I got to send this to blank. Do you ever think, oh, well, they must have gotten this from somewhere else, right?
No, I just send it usually. So I realize, why would anyone think he's already gotten it? I think they're just thinking, oh, Matt and Cairo got to see this,
So
which is great, which means like, oh, they're thinking about us. That's great.
Yeah, I love it. So this is great. You're going to love this. So one of my mentees, I
yes, I do love it. I find it hilarious that you have mentees. You're right.
I can't. Today is just not my day with Matt. It's just not my day. Oh, one of my mentees, she's an actor, and she was doing some sort of like, it's not TikTok, but there's like some company that's doing Quibi, like 1 minute soap operas or something. It's actually pretty big.
Okay.
And I'm on the New York Times. This is about 3 months ago. Her face, she's on the cover of the New York Times in an article about the company.
Wow.
And I text her. I'm like, you're on the cover of the New York Times. I'm sure you've gotten this like 40 times. She goes, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're on the cover of the New York Times right now.
So it is pretty cool when you're the first.
Yes. Yes. She's like, I'm shaking. I'm like, I'm taking 1,000 screenshots in case it goes away. It was unbelievable.
I was talking to somebody yesterday from Penn who didn't know we were on the cover. And I thought he was reaching out because he saw us on the cover.
We were on the cover of the Penn Alumni magazine. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like, oh, that was you? He was like, oh my God, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I thought that's why you reached out.
Man, Penn Alumni magazine, the least looked at alumni magazine ever.
No, it's the most glanced at, least directly focused on.
Oh, that reminds me, we'll just talk about it on the air. You still need to sign a copy for our friend Shane.
I will do that.
It's sitting at our buddy's, our mutual buddy's barbershop. He wants to frame it. Should we take a listener question?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back. Okay, guys, this is Asking for a Friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram and we will answer it on the show. Matt, this is a Matt special because it's a work question. Matt and I are, disgraced corporate stooges. Hi, Matt and Cairo. Love the pod, but I need some help. My best friend at work, let's call him Mark, keeps asking me to cover for him when he wants to ditch work. Matt knows a lot about that. He spins these elaborate yarns about sick grandparents or leaky pipes, but like, I know he just wants to play video games at home all day. I really don't like lying, especially for someone else's slacking, especially at work. But Mark is a good dude, and I don't want to be the friend who throws him under the bus. Should I keep covering for him or find a way to tell him it's messing with my morals and maybe our job security?
First off, I'm not going to get on any sort of high horse and pretend that I didn't ask many people to cover for me for like a 2-year stretch where I was just, I told you I invented quiet quitting, but there was a long stretch where I had people in the office just be like, oh, Matt just stepped out. I had my secretary saying Matt stepped out, and I was literally just at home in my underwear.
Did you call her a secretary, assistant?
Is that not the right term
not
anymore?
But in 2007,
the secretary, that was her title.
Yeah. That's what she said. It had a business card.
Yeah, it said secretary. I don't think she had a business card either.
I mean, that's actually pretty messed up.
Sandy, she was great. She was great. Shout out to Sandy.
You ever wonder where she is now?
There, maybe.
Did you ever like think about like someone you ran into or knew in middle school, like a camp counselor or something? You're like, that person's 60 now.
I do think about that because I think about how many of my teachers are still.
Oh,
well, our second grade teacher, I don't think you had Mrs. Sorkin, but I just remember. You did. Were we in second grade together?
I had her in third grade. We had.
Oh, you had her in third. I was going to say. She said the craziest thing at the time. It was 1986, and somehow the year 2000 came up, and she's like, I don't know if I'll even be here in the year 2000. And I didn't even like know what that meant. Like conceptually, I'm like, where are you gonna be? Like, what does that even mean?
Do you remember what she dressed as Halloween? On Halloween?
Scarecrow?
A
No.
witch.
Witch.
She's like
Yeah.
she was known as like the mean one, and she kind of
Right.
leaned
She
into
was.
that. And I
She was
respect
leaning
that.
in. I like
Yeah,
that. Leaning
yeah,
in.
yeah. She is long dead. She was like 80 in 1986.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
Yeah,
that was my first. Like, did my family teach me about mortality? No, Mrs. Sorkin did.
that is incredible.
Second grade. So I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't asked people to cover for me. But number one is like, why can't you just say I don't have no idea? Like, why does it have to be one or the other?
Well, I think you can answer that. Would you want one of your buddies to be like, "Oh, I don't know where Matt is," when you want him to cover for you or her?
No, I'm saying if you don't want to cover, but not throw your friend on the bus, you're not throwing him under the bus by saying I don't know.
I mean, I think
So I think that you're like split. I think you're basically putting yourself in their shoes, not your own shoes. Like, it's not your responsibility to cover for your friend. If you want to do it, he's asking you to do something that could cost you your job. Like, come on,
that's literally what you did.
I shouldn't. I'm saying I don't want to get on a high horse.
Oh,
That was
okay.
wrong. It's
Wow.
wrong.
Okay.
It's wrong to put other people at risk. So you can go gallivanting.
Did you have any compunction back then?
I didn't even think about it. 25 years old, like asking somebody to cover for you. I didn't even think like, oh, is that not right for me to do?
Why would you go to work? I still don't understand.
What do you mean? Why wouldn't I go to work?
What do you mean? You just didn't go to work?
Yeah, I had her forward all my stuff at home. I was the first like work from home guy, hybrid.
But you also.
Well, this was when I was actively trying to get fired for severance.
Because you were done.
Yeah.
But why? Wouldn't it be better to just leave? Because you wouldn't get severance then.
Yeah. I played them like a fatal.
Yeah, I'm sure you're real strategic. I mean, it sounds like they were just morons.
No, I don't think people really. Yeah, they were. Nobody was paying attention.
Right. Anyway, I think that if your buddy says to you, "Hey, man, I'm gonna like ditch out," if anyone asks, like, just tell them on my girlfriend's funeral. That's not.
Whoa. I was just leaving work for a light girlfriend's funeral hour. Jeez.
Something more adenine.
Drinking too much. Whose brain's turning to pebbles?
I got to go to like, get my car picked up.
Yeah.
He's putting that on me. Then when the boss goes, "Oh, where's Mark?" And I got to be like,
yeah,
that's pretty messed. If I say, "Oh, I don't know," that's throw him under the bus, I think.
You saying it's throwing somebody under the bus by saying, "I don't know"?
No, yes, but that's because I don't like Mark putting it on the guy in the first place.
Right. I don't listen. Let's be honest. We all do. As I said, I did this. I'm pretty sure everybody's probably done this once or twice in their career. Cairo is a rule follower, so he probably never would have done this. But, every now and then, if you're close enough, if you're actual friends, like, we ask our friends to cover for us every now and then. It's not I'll say this. It's not something you should be making a habit out of.
This is a blast from the past. In Wharton, we had a mergers and acquisitions class, and it was the only class where the guy literally took attendance, like high school.
Mm.
And a bunch of guys in the fraternity were in it. Half of us didn't show up, and so this guy Dan, a little bit older, he was like, when he calls my name, just say, "Here, throw your voice."
Oh my God, throw your voice. Ventriloquy. He asked you to engage in ventriloquism.
And I think maybe I was a pledge, so I had to or something. But anyway, I'm glad I did because he's now a billionaire. So
what has he done for you lately?
I haven't asked, and I don't expect, but you never know.
Oh, that's nice. I don't know if our listeners know, Cairo had a perfect attendance Lou Gehrig-like streak that lasted from first grade to senior year.
Yeah, but have we ever discussed that? Like, it was quite, your face, I missed school, and then I do a retroactive, like somehow they like let me, in Duolingo. Yeah, you can do a streak freeze in Duolingo.
Oh, you did a streak freeze?
Yeah.
At school? I didn't know that.
It's just spit up.
First off, I thought you were saying you did the like AC Green thing where he was the NBA all-time leader in like games played, but like, or was it AC Green or was it Cal Ripken, baseball leader, where towards the end of the streak where they were trying to keep it going, they'd like play one inning, or like I thought maybe you'd just show up for homeroom and then peace out.
Because I think if you're actually sick, that doesn't count, maybe. But that doesn't make any sense when I'm saying it out loud.
No. Maybe
Whatever.
you did what I suggested. Anyway, back to the question. Is it okay to ask your colleagues for a little white lie here and there? Yeah, I guess. As I said, don't make a habit of it. Are you obligated that person? I mean, that's really a question of like how you feel about this relationship.
Okay, I have a great question for you. Oh, sorry. You go.
I was going to say, is it going to make it weird at work too? Like if you're just like, nah.
Well, that actually was my question, which is that, okay, I still believe it's not fair to be put on the guy, but I still believe if you go, oh, I don't know where he is, that's basically the same thing as sort of throwing him under the bus, because it's just, that doesn't help. So my question is, do you have an obligation?
Throwing him under the bus is saying that he's a spearmint rhino.
Right. That's fair. That's
the
fair.
truth is that he's at Sapphire.
When Mark asks you this favor, are you obligated to tell him what you're going to say?
Well, no, he's obligated to tell you to say what
right. But if Mark says, hey, Matt, will you just tell him I'm at the mechanic? And do I have to say back, listen, I'm just going to say I don't know where you are because I don't feel comfortable with
that. Yeah, I guess. If you don't feel comfortable saying he's at the mechanic, I mean, I would freelance, I'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's with his therapist.
Oh, just tell a completely different lie.
Yeah, I just go in a different direction.
This is a rare it's a rare question where I think we don't like either of the people in this question.
No, listen, it's just one of those things. Like, first of all, I wonder how often this happens anymore. Like, there's just not the same level of like work camaraderie there used to be. People are working from home all the time.
In the office.
Right. No, so it happens less and less. These guys must be in a situation where they're still in a workplace where somebody's checking in on them. Let's establish a rule. How many times a year can you pull this? That's what I want to know.
Pulling or asking the friend for the favor?
That's what I'm saying. How many times can you ask a friend to cover for you in a given year? Once or twice?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say twice.
Right. So I think if you keep it under twice in a year, that's kind of like, hey, man, we're coworkers. Like, right. You cover for me every now. There's definitely like a camaraderie against the boss, like, hey, it's us against them, man. We're fighting the men.
By the way, you could, if the boss, I'm just trying to think, if somehow you got in trouble, you could be like, that's where he told me he was going.
Right. That's where he told me.
Right.
You're covered. You can say that's what he told me. I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. It has to be an understanding that like, it's never going to blow back on me.
Matt,
like I'm covering for you, but that's what you told me.
Matt, do you remember, this is like beginning of the pod, we were talking about the change in workplace dynamics. People aren't even in the office anymore. And some people working from home, like old school Matt, like they sort of monitor you. They know whether you're at the computer. And so like a guy put a defrosted hot dog on a blender on slow.
Right.
So it's just hitting the mouse.
It's genius. It's the greatest invention of the 21st century.
Oh,
by the way,
man.
This reminds me of the time I got caught in a lie. Somebody ratted me out on the tennis team. I don't know who it was. Still, I don't know. Mr. Weiler, I was the captain, I think, at the time, and I told him I was sick or some shit. I was going to the Mets game, and somebody straight up told him I was at the Mets game, and then he stripped me of my captaincy.
Well, if this was after you beat me out for the last spot on the team, then it wasn't me. If it was before, it might have been me.
Yeah, it was probably you.
You were the captain?
I think so.
That can't be
leadership abilities. It wasn't about your rankings. Yep.
You made the captain based on leadership ability?
Yeah. Yep. Oh. And then it's summarily dismissed after 2 weeks.
Presumably you're pretty good at tennis now, and back then you were okay.
Okay. Yeah. Both. But now blah.
Right. Like, are you playing? How long is like sorry, a little off topic. Did you see Roger Federer's commencement speech at Dartmouth?
Amazing. Isn't it incredible? He only won 54% of his points.
Right. So he won, I think, 80% of his matches, but
Yep.
only 54% of the points. Unbelievable, right?
It's mind blowing. I sometimes you hear a stat that you're like, how did I not know that? I watched this guy for 20 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, he dominated everybody. It's like, yeah, but there's really such a fine line.
By the way, my TikTok algorithm is sending me. I've been on weird stats of all sports. Like it's just funneling me weird things. I should pebble you actually next time I see one. They're crazy.
Yeah, my TikTok algorithm is sending me only 2 words.
I know.
Cool.
All right, do we answer this question?
I think the overall answer is, look, if you feel comfortable and you've got the relationship, do it, but make sure they know, like, I'm not doing this all the time. This is feeling a little weird for me. But again, make sure they know that if somehow it ever came back on you, nah, man, that's what you told me.
Yeah,
but like morals, like I agree. Like I don't want to go around, you don't want to. It's hard enough to deal with your own lies.
Oh, Mark, be a little bit
Having
more.
Somebody else's lies on your content. It's too many lies.
Right. What's that great George Costanza line? When Jerry says the girl that he's a marine biologist, he's like, "Why? I said I'm an architect. I know my lies."
Right. That's great.
All right, guys, this was Asking for a Friend. If you have a friendship question, send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast. We will answer it on the show. All right, Matt, what did we learn today?
I mean,
I know
what
you learned.
Figure it out. Yeah, I can't figure it out.
Will you guys please reach out to Matt on Instagram, his personal or our Man of the Year Podcast one, and just message him? Will you pebble him, please? Because he needs to be pebbled. He doesn't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. What did we learn? Now you tell me what we learned.
So pebbling is taken from Gentoo penguins, and it is a little bit of attention or affection, usually digitally, could be otherwise, but it's a link, it's a meme, and it just really shows the person that you're thinking of them. It's not going to replace friendship. It's not going to replace a phone call on IRL. It's just a little cute thing to keep affection going, even better over long distance.
I say it includes Levain cookies every now and then.
All right, that's our show. I can't deal with Matt anymore today. He's been really riding me hard. Guys, always remember, be good to your friends. What do I say?
Be good to yourself and be good to your friends.
Love you,
buddy.